In the Albanian language, there exists a word called Besa for which there is no single word in Italian that can translate it accurately. Besa is something similar to a type of solemn oath. It is the fulfillment of a given word until death. To give someone Besa is to give them something so important that it must be held at all costs. It is difficult to understand that the person who gave this kind of promise responded with their own life. Failure to keep the given word would mean the highest form of betrayal, as if this individual did not deserve to be called such. In modern times, we always turn to the past to rediscover the values, those lost values of love and loyalty that are becoming increasingly rare in many societies across all continents. A traditional Albanian ballad, so ancient, yet so contemporary at the same time, it is titled The Besa of Konstantin. It tells the story of a very beautiful girl, the youngest sister of 12 brothers. She was so beautiful and virtuous that no suitor dared to ask for her hand. One day, a foreign warrior, handsome and strong, presented himself and asked for her hand in marriage, but he came from a distant land. The mother and the 12 brothers were against it, but Konstantin, the 12th brother, upon seeing his sister's desire, asked his mother to accept. However, the mother said, "How can I have my only daughter close to me on days of joy and have her close to me on days of sorrow?" But Konstantin promised. He gave his mother his Besa that, whenever she wanted to see her, he would bring her. After 10 days of festivities, Doruntinen, that was the girl's name, set off to the foreign land. The years passed, and one by one, the 12 brothers of Doruntinen went off to war. The poor mother wept, and one night she lit 2 candles on the graves of her 12 sons. When she went to Konstantin, 2 candles were lit. In pain, she called out to her deceased son, "Where's your Besa now? Who will bring me Doruntinen?" When Konstantin was engulfed in darkness, he was drawn to his grave. The white tombstone turned black, and he flew with the wind and passed through places he had never seen before. Finally, he reached the village where his beloved sister lived. Without her children around her, she danced with the village women, all dressed in velvet. She was surprised when she saw her brother and embraced him tightly. He asked her to join him on the horse so he could take her to their mother, just as she was, dressed like that. During the journey, birds flew around and whispered, "The living walk with the dead." Doruntinen asked her brother many questions: why his clothes were covered in mold, why his hair was dusty, and why he looked so pale. But he replied that it was the journey that had made him that way. When they approached the village church, Konstantin asked Doruntinen to continue on foot towards their house as he wanted to stop for a moment to pray. This gave him an excuse to return to his grave. As he approached the house, he saw that all the lights were out. He knocked on the door, and his mother asked who was knocking at such a late hour. "It's Doruntinen, your daughter," he replied. The mother asked her daughter, "Who brought you here?" and she answered, "Konstantin." Oh, what great sorrow when she learned that her brother had come out of the grave to keep his promise. Overwhelmed by the grief of learning about the deaths of all her brothers, as they embraced, both mother and daughter died at the doorstep. This ancient Albanian legend shows that the world and love know no boundaries. Where war claims the lives of people, as it still happens today, it destroys whole families, causing them to migrate far away and suffer from homesickness. The legend tells us that in order to keep a given word, even the dead come back to cross the border of impossibility and make possible what many people in modern times are unable to do. It must be remembered that only love can nourish peace, and it is through peace that love can truly thrive.